Hey everybody, this is Croc 9-Volt Game, and today, 9-Volt Games. I've tried to shoot this video once before, and I'm not doing it again. Hey everybody, this is Croc 9-Volt Games, and today I want to talk about this little gem, Croc. That was perfect, that was perfectly timed. Now I have no reason to stop this video. So Croc, I'll give you a little bit of retrospect, and then a little bit of my take, and then I'll explain it as I run through it. Croc was made by Argonaut Games. If you know your shit about games, you know that Argonaut Games was responsible for the Super FX chip that that made games like Doom possible on the Super Nintendo and Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, which is one of my favorite. Yoshi's Island was made off of that chip. And most importantly, Star Fox was made specifically because that chip existed, right? So, suffice to say, Nintendo and Argonaut Games had a fantastic relationship in the Super Nintendo era. When the N64 era came out, they made a 3D platforming prototype for a Yoshi game, and Nintendo ultimately rejected it because they had their own plans with Yoshi. And we got Yoshi's Story, which can be beaten in about 45 minutes. And they did not scrap this game. They changed a couple of the assets. They kept everything largely the same, and now we have this. Croc. It's backwards. It's mirrored, and I can't flip it without doing all this shit, but whatever. But anyways, we got Croc. Legend of Gobbos, whatever. I've never heard it said phonetically. So, you can tell that it was supposed to be Yoshi, right? Because they use a crocodile. It's the same way that Yoshi walks. And instead of being the dinosaur that we know with the little red hump, this one is a crocodile with a little brown backpack. They obviously didn't do anything with his tongue because he's a crocodile, but he keeps a tail whip and all that shit. Knowing that, obviously I didn't know that this game came out when I was 12, but I didn't get it until it was Greatest Hits, so like a year later. I got this game when I was 13. I know, because I was going into high school. Anyways, knowing this now as an adult, I can see exactly where Nintendo fucked up. Nintendo fucked up. Playing Yoshi's Story versus this wasn't like the greatest of the 3D platformers, but this was in an era where we were oversaturated with 3D platformers because 3D just became a thing. And not only were we oversaturated with 3D platformers, we were oversaturated with terrible 3D platformers. We were oversaturated with mascots. So the simple fact that this was the greatest hits on PlayStation and that this got a sequel is really telling. I would have loved to see it come out on the N64, and it did not. It came out on the Sega Saturn, it came out on Windows, and it came out on PlayStation, obviously. I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, I would have loved to see it come out on the N64. Instead, we got shit like Glover on the N64. Who fucking cares? I would have loved to see Nintendo have to eat shit on that when Croc was better received than Yoshi's. Yoshi's Story only got well received at all because it was Yoshi. But I also didn't understand how to play that game fully until I was an adult, when I realized that it's an arcade-style game and it's meant to be multiple playthroughs, and there's a certain way that you have to stack the fruits and all that shit. This one was just a 3D platforming collectathon. It was nowhere near the level of like Banjo-Kazooie. It was nowhere near the level of Mario 64. But if they put Yoshi on here, it would have been like a short, sweet adventure that was friendly for kids to play and fun for adults, people of all ages to play. And Nintendo really fucked themselves. My favorite part is that they went straight to Sony, who was about to beat the shit out of Nintendo. and they got it done. Well, they already beat the shit out of Nintendo at this point. And then they ended up putting it on the Saturn too. So let's play a little bit of it, and I'll explain one thing I truly hate about it and why it's hard to go back and recommend it to anybody. It has tank controls for a platformer. Seems like it's fucking unheard of. It doesn't work well, and I don't know why. I don't remember when the DualShock. They must have been working on the DualShock or something. There's no reason why this has no analog control, and it doesn't. It has zero analog control, which is super weird because it was supposed to be on the N64, which all their platformers relied solely on analog controls. So this moves like you have to move like a tank. It feels like I'm playing Resident Evil. but I'm playing a platformer. But anyway, so it's a very simple platformer. These little gems here, they dictate your life. They are your life currency. There's 5 special colored gems, which they totally kept from anything Yoshi. There's 5 special colored gems. When you get to the end, if you get all 5, you open up a door that takes you to a mini game. Originally in Yoshi's Island, when you get 5 sunflowers and you get to the end of the level, I always call them sunflowers. I don't think they are, but you get 5 flowers. You go to the end of the level, and you get a bonus world. So I'm just gonna zip through. Basically, the game's set out like this. It's not huge, it's not complex. There's little areas, you can collect things. You can save these little, I don't remember what they're called, little fuzzy creatures. And then you just go through the next door. You basically keep going room to room, collecting things, finding secrets, until you get to a gong. You hit the gong with your tail, you go to the next level. You do that until you make it to a boss, you go to the next world. It's not a really long game. Like I said, it's not really complex. It doesn't have the depth of other collectathon platforming games, but it was fun. And I think that Nintendo would have benefited from it, and Argonaut Games as a whole would have benefited from it, because I think that they would still be around today making 3D platforming games for Nintendo. I like the direction that Yoshi eventually went in, right? I like Yoshi's Woolly World, Yoshi's Crafted World. Like, I like those games a lot, but I think Yoshi having his own huge 3D outing on the N64 would have been beneficial to both companies. But I'm at least happy that they tweaked it enough where it could be its own thing and they could not get in trouble by Nintendo. And I'm also happy that they got to release it on a console that I had at the time, so I got to play it. And it's something that I enjoyed when I was a kid. I had it, like I said, here's my story with it. I didn't get allowance in my house. My dad owned the general contracting company, so if you wanted to buy something, my sister or myself, you needed to go to work and sacrifice your weekend or a snow day and do some manual labor. So I did that. I bought this game when it was the greatest hits, which was $20. I used to go and buy it like shit ton. My sister saved her money, and was smart with it. I would get like, $200, and I'd be like, give me all the games. And that's what I did with all my money. That's why I had the collection that I had. But there was a kid that I used to trade PS1 games with, like to borrow at school. And I specifically remember the day that I brought Croc, because I had just beat it. And I brought it in so that he could let me borrow something. I don't even remember what it was. And I left it in my gym locker, because I was seeing him after gym. And when I came back, the shit was gone from my gym locker. Somebody stole my Croc. Who steals this game? Nobody wants this game. Nobody wanted this game when I was 13. Nobody wanted this shit. You wanted around this time, you wanted Final Fantasy VII. Or if you got a year later, you wanted Metal Gear Solid. Who was stealing Croc? Shame on you. I never found out who did it. You fucking asshole. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed that video. I'm going to start doing more videos like this where I can give you like a little bit of, facts about a game, and then, my take on them, and then play a little bit of it. There are channels out there that do way better with like factual did you know. Like one of them is called Did You Know Gaming. They do much better with that shit, but I've noticed, I watch those a lot. Those are my favorite channels to watch. Any like factual, whatever, like gaming historian. I love that guy. They never interject anything personal into it, so I'm hoping I can do something in the middle, because I can't compete with what they do. They do a lot of research. They have Patreon people that fucking donate them money so they can take time, contact people. I'm not about to do all that. I'll do what I know off the top of my head and then share a story, but that's about it. So let me know what you guys think about this. I have a couple more in mind that I want to do, but if there's any games that you remember from your childhood that you would like me to do a video about, if it resonates with me, I'll do it. If it's something I want to play for the first time, I'll give you a shout out and I'll play it and we'll talk about it. I'll do a little bit of research into it, see it so I can have some fun factoids. But thank you guys for watching. Let me know. I hope everyone has a great weekend starting, tomorrow.